Let's get scratching.
We are back once again. Hey ho, what do you know? What's going on, guys? Coming back at ya with probably my favorite archetype in the game. This is kind of like my brainchild. This deck is forever in a work of progress. It's never going to be perfect, but I'm working on it. With the new Vivid Voltage coming out, I actually think the new Snorlax card would be pretty good in here, but I'll go more deeper into that in a second. But pretty much what this is Dragalge Poison Mechanic here. This card is actually kind of crazy. If your opponent's active Pokemon is poison, put 10 damage counters instead of 1 on that Pokemon. So essentially you're doing 100 ticks of damage per turn with this Pokemon, which is kind of a lot. Which essentially means with 3 rotations in between rounds, like I pass, he pass, I pass, that's 300 damage, which is enough to KO most things in the game. And then, you know, if for some reason we're still alive by the next turn, we can Sharp Fin. The crazy thing about this game is that it causes a lot of confusion in my opponent. Not necessarily a stats effect, but they really don't know what to do. It causes a lot of switching. It forces my opponent to use a lot of their switching cards. So what we have here is, to get the poison off, we hit up the Garbodor, right? And we have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 copies of Dust Island. Since this is probably... Poison is where our damage is coming from, right? So we pretty much need to win the Stadium War at all costs. So we run 4 copies of this. This card needs to be up pretty much at all points of the game in order for us to get our damage off. Because like I said earlier, people love to switch. So whenever they use a switching card, a Malolana, this card keeps the stats effects stacks in place, which is incredibly important. You can argue that you could use this or Spike Muth. Spike Muth, every time you switch, does like 20 damage. But we're running with this because our stacks are just so incredibly high. I mean, someone could do the math, but the trade-off really isn't super there. But yeah, people love to switch in this deck. We got the Toxicroak. Sometimes you need that extra bit of damage, extra bit of poison damage. So you go from 100 to 120 to 150 damage per tick pretty quickly, and obviously 150 damage a tick is enough to, you know, 3 rotate KO pretty much everything in the game at this point. We've got Mew to protect your bench because, to be honest, like every one of our cards is low HP and can be sniped by a lot of things. Unfortunately, Mew doesn't work on Dragapult, so this deck's worst matchup is probably Dragapult. I don't think I've beaten a single Dragapult ever with this deck at all. It's just way too difficult of a matchup. They one-shot everything on my active, and they put 5 damage counters and everything on my bench. And Mew, there's no way to stop that. So, pretty much insta-FF maul the Dragapult matchups. Mimikyu, you can stop the stop healing. So the thing about this card, you want to prevent them from healing because they also do a lot of healing. Malolana doesn't stop them from switching, but it does stop them from healing, which is nice. So you can kind of keep your stacks there. Oricorio, every time you get knocked out, is super nice. I just put this card in like a few seconds ago. I just put this card in. So this is very experimental. I haven't really played a game with it yet, but one thing this deck is really lacking, I think, is its biggest weakness is draw support. Sometimes I just don't find what I need when I need it, and Rosa kind of helps with that, but you need to get knocked out first, right? So I've done all sorts of things with this deck. I've played with 4 Koga's Trap, 1 boss. I used to run 2 or 3. I don't think this deck needs too many bosses. Obviously people retreat their low HP Pokemon to the bench, but I think 1 boss is usually good enough. But we can experiment with that too. But yeah, I mean, there are multiple different things. Air Balloon, there are multiple different things you can do to play with this deck. You go up Air Balloon, more I used to have more Rosa, more Koga's Trap. This card is amazing because sometimes you just don't set up your Garbodor in your Dust Island in time. So this could really help you squeak out that clutch poison early game if you need it. But yeah, this deck really just somehow, some way needs more searching, and I just don't really know how to get it because I'm running 4 Marnie, 4 research. I think the main issue with this deck, you just need a lot of tools, a lot of keys. Like you need the Dragalge, you need the Garbodor, you need the Dust Island, you need to have them be poisoned, and then you can attack. So despite it being mostly a run prize deck, it does feel a little bit slow at times, but I love this deck. I love Poison. Poison my favorite type of Pokemon, so it's my brainchild. Still trying to get things going. So really appreciate it. Really appreciate you guys checking out this deck. Feel free. I'll be posting the deck list in the comments, so feel free to check it out. Let's get into some games. Jack Seri coming in with the coin flip. He's got like this Blastoise looking gold deck box. Interesting. This hand isn't bad actually. We have like all the tools that we typically look for. This hand, other than the fact that we're probably gonna have to yeah, see, this is an amazing hand. Even if he Marnies us, we have like all of our Pokemon in play right now. And prep for it. So this is like the ideal start. 2 Skrulps, a Trubbish, and a Croagunk. Turn 1. With the research in hand. And then you research into like a Dust Island and a Dragalge, or like a way to find it. Yeah, definitely like the ideal scenario. Mewtwo Welder deck box. Okay. We're gonna have to find a Mew so that he can't just like kill this guy from the bench with his whatchamacallit, the Naganadel, however you say it. I don't really know how you say it. Be researching anyway, so do I want to find Mew right now? I don't think so. How many of these do we have in the deck? We have 2 of the deck, so playing a second one might not be the worst idea in the world. Find a Dragalge, find a Dust Island. Don't find a Garbodor or a way to find it though. That's not entirely the end of the world. I'll evolve the one on the bench. He's gonna switch, right? At least this way it forces him to manually switch, otherwise he takes the poison with him. Don't want to be dropping Mew quite yet, so we'll just poison him now. He probably plays Naganadel to hit my bench, and that's what I'm afraid of, because I don't want him to knock out my Garbodor when I inevitably get it in play, right? So I'm probably going to have to put in Mew at some point. Interesting. Very, very interesting. That tells me he doesn't have a switch card. We already discarded our boss. That really sucks. I really need to use Koga's Trap right now. It's Marnie first. This thing is getting knocked out next turn anyway, so... Still no other Dragalge though, but I guess that's fine. Maybe it's not too fine. Nothing we can do for now, unfortunately. Gonna have to pass. Just pass it out. We have Rosa in hand. We can find our Garbodor after we get knocked out. I gotta pay attention to this. He takes the poison stacks with him. So by next turn, he's only going to have 220 HP. And we can bump that up to 140, I believe. Tick per turn. So it's gonna force him to like switch around, manually retreat, stuff like that. So yeah, poison just causes a lot of mayhem. It forces the opponent to move around his board when he doesn't want to. It just sucks that pretty much every deck runs Force Switch. I don't think I've seen a deck that doesn't. Force Switch, Scoop Up, Marijuana, like switching cards are very prevalent. Excuse me. Promote this 100% of the time. There is our Garbodor, that's pretty good. Because that means that we can Rosa or another Skrelp. Really want to be benching Oricorio quite yet. Probably going to get another supporter, honestly. I'm probably going to get another research. Might not get the energy actually. Keep the energy in the deck, yes. I'm gonna keep the energy in the deck. We'll wait until the following turn. What's in here? Anything in... Okay. I'm so worried that he'll boss this in at some point, but I might need the bench space for Mew. Go with this for now. So he has to move around the board. We'll have to boss chase him at some point. Yes, that's one reason why. So I used to play with 2 boss instead of 1, because you do kind of have to boss chase a little bit because people they switch around with their poison stacks or whatever. So you do have to do some boss chasing. It doesn't switch out though. Interesting. So it looks like I needed to find Mimikyu. You know, I could do that. Interesting. For ordinary rod, shoot, I don't know. I've never played Mewtwo, so we'll do this. Put another line back in the deck. Put 2 energy back in the deck. Funny, he still dies next turn, which is kind of hilarious because of the way the poison ticks work. So I think I'm going to... I really don't want to put this down. Bench this, I suppose. We're gonna ordinary rod. Just put this back in the deck. And then we'll research, see if we can find another Dragalge. Not that we really need one, to be honest, but... Do you have anything you can do for just 2 energies? 130 damage, 3 damage. Just this? Needs a water energy to do this. Just pass it out. See what our prizes are. Another Dust Island, that's good. Air Balloon, that's really good. Pokecom, that's pretty good. Another Dedenne, interesting. Interesting. He's gonna whorehouse me, maybe? Oh, okay. Muck muck, okay. Man, dude. Playing against Mewtwo is so obnoxious, I have to say. You're constantly having to, like, what's this? What's that? Like, being a new player, and I'm not familiar with a lot of these GX tag team cards, I'm, like, having to literally read what his discard pile does. I mean, I'm getting more familiar with it over time, but it's still a little annoying. Not gonna lie. He's not gonna attack. Wait, what? Interesting. I don't really feel pressure to Marnie him, so we'll just do this. Just be really annoying. Just be really annoying. Force him to switch or something. I mean, he has to switch regardless. There it is! See? That's what I'm saying. It just forces him to move around, and he just, like... Especially for Mewtwo, like, the 140 damage, 2 ticks is just enough to get... That's 3 prize cards. So that's kind of how the deck works. And it feels really good, because you just kind of trap him. Like, he has to keep moving and switching and healing, and eventually they just kind of run out of resources. You choke them out. God. Yo, look at that Ninetales coin. Alolan Ninetales. Oh man. Wish I had that. Dude, oh man, I need the bling bling, dude. Come in with a bling bling. That's what I need. Mimikyu start. Whatever. It happens. It might be useful, it might not be useful. Who knows? Research. He does go first though, so okay, so this is another Inteleon deck. Alright, so we're gonna be like strapped for bench space. We're not gonna be able to use any 2 prizers because we need Mimikyu. Unless this is Dreadnought. If this is Inteleon, then we're gonna be very, very strapped for bench space. But if this is Dreadnought, then we can kinda forego the Mew. So it's gonna be Mimikyu, Mew, Skrelp, Toxicroak, Garbodor, and like another Skrelp. So okay, so one problem with this deck is that we have no way to get like any damage off on the first turn. How do we want to play this? I think we want to Pokecom the Dragalge away for a Trubbish. Air balloon. Air balloon this. That's fine. Great ball. Or a Croagunk. That's fine. Best Island. We'll switch in the Trubbish because we air ballooned it. Research for a. This isn't bad. It could be better, but it's not bad. Still don't know what this is. I'm very, very wary about dropping the Oricorio or using the Oricorio in this game because I just don't know what it is yet. So I will quick ball the Calm. Go for Skrelp. I don't want to get another Skrelp down too. Because he might be able to hit me next turn. I think that would be the safest way. Because if I drop Oricorio, we're not going to have space for Mew. I just don't know what he's playing. Just don't know what he's playing right now. This might be a mistake. I hope it's not a mistake. It probably is a mistake. I just don't know what I want to quick ball here. I don't really want to quick ball the Oricorio because then I'm in like top deck mode. Probably needed to quick ball the Oricorio for another Skrelp. Honestly, there's a decent chance. Okay, so we don't need Mew. That's good. That's really good. Don't need Mew right now. Okay, nothing we could have done about that. Another Skrelp and some draw supporters. So now I can safely get rid of my Mew knowing that it's not Inteleon. So I'm pretty okay with that. What's in here? Boss, Marnie, Switch, okay. Another Frostmoth. We can beat this, by the way. So we can beat this. Air Balloon. Interesting. Wait, what? Oh, he doesn't have any energy in his hand. Okay. So drop this 100% of the time, drop this 100% of the time. Let's not Marnie him since he doesn't have any energy. Force him to find some. We'll just do this for now. We will Great Ball, I guess. The odds of us finding what we need out that Great Ball are pretty low, but I don't have a way to shuffle the deck. We'll take this, but I'm not gonna bench it. Gonna retreat switch. Dust Island right now doesn't really do much, honestly. I could throw it down. Yeah, I guess I'll throw it down. Force him to bump it so you just can't get like the extra energy. The Marnie was kind of annoying because I did have Dragalge and Garbodor in my hand. So in that regard, it's kind of annoying. I wonder if he has a draw supporter in his hand. Probably doesn't, right? Yeah. If I Marnie him, I'm gonna play this slow, honestly. I'm gonna play this slow. Because what's gonna happen is, if I Marnie him, I could Marnie him into a switch, and he could do things like switch switch, so he top stacks a Capacious Bucket, that's annoying. Interesting boss. People don't typically boss my Toxicroaks very often. Because they're usually more important targets. I didn't really like... If I had a Dragalge on the field, he probably would have KO'd that instead. He's down two boss, right? So I kind of feel better about benching that right now. I think Marnie is safe to do now. Hopefully we can find a Dragalge. There we go. Let's not mess that up this time. Do we have any energies in the discard pile? No. We just have the 2 Pokemon, so we don't really have to play that. We have Rosa in hand. So yeah, let's just hit him for this. And he kind of has to switch out here. He needs a switch card in his hand so he can switch. Or retreat switch. And I can just hit him with another stack of poison with Rosa. So he's kind of pressured right now. To kind of keep moving his field around. You have Mimikyu in play as well, so if he plays Mallow and Lana, he won't be able to heal. We have Koga's Trap too, so we have a lot of options. Wondrous Labyrinth, interesting. We can just bump that next turn with Rosa, so I'm not too worried. It's just interesting. It doesn't really stop anything, but it's interesting nonetheless. Bench another Skrelp actually, and just keep the Skrelp action coming. Going to promote this one as well. I'm going to kind of want to Marnie him actually, just because I have another one of these backed up. Kind of keep stuff out of his hand over the Rosa. He's gonna die next turn anyway, so I'm not like terribly pressured to be finding things. An ordinary rod though. Yeah, let's do that. Let's Marnie him. Kind of keep him kind of confused. Interrupt his hand a little bit. Since he's just gonna die next turn regardless. We'll put this here. Have Quick Ball in hand, and we have Oricorio, so we'll dance with the Tribute and pass. He lost his Air Balloon, which is really good. I'm sure he plays a second one. There goes another Dust Island. And a Research. So he kind of needs to Marnie me right now if he can. How many? He's played like at least one. So he's down on Marnie, so he researches instead. He's kind of like in panic mode right now, like the poison shenanigans are kind of forcing him to move around. He also lost a couple turns early on. It's very important to recognize when you should and shouldn't Marnie your opponent. And you'll never know for sure unless you have an ability or something to look at his hand, but so he does have at least one boss left in his hand. So there's 2 prize cards. He's gonna boss my Oricorio some point in the game. But we should still be able to win. We should still be able to win. That's for the max pump. We do have Koga's Trap, so we don't need Garbodor just yet. We don't need Garbodor just yet. Being kind of relaxed with that. Yeah, I'm gonna probably relax a little bit. Okay, we did find a Garbodor here. We'll go ahead and evolve that. We're gonna Koga's Trap him. But we'll stick that down anyway. We don't need... What don't we need? Let's drop this. Goodbye. I don't think we need Croagunk anymore. Toxicroak. Don't think we need Toxicroak anymore. I think we just need to keep the Dragalge rain going. Kind of keep that rotating. Yeah, I don't think we need that anymore. Koga's Trap him for sure. For sure. Put that down. And we will hit him with the stacks. So now he needs a lot. He needs Air Balloon, 2 switches. He needs a lot. You pretty much can't attack with this Lapras anymore. Marnie, okay, that doesn't really matter. He needs switch, air balloon switch, something switch. Like he needs to move his field around. This is what I like. It just like it just forces him to find these switch cards. And I know these decks play a lot of them. The decks that you don't want to play are like Luke Metal. They run like 12 switch cards. They run Bird Keeper, Malolana, 4 switch, Scoop Up. Like, oh man, like they play it all. So decks like those, you don't want to play decks like those. He has like no other offensive attacker on the field because his bench is full of the Denes and Crobats and Frostmoths. So this is he can only attack with his Lapras. I think he lost, honestly. There it is. Yeah, that's game. GG's to my opponent. Hit him with the whew, that was close. And yeah, we're just gonna hit him with the Sharp Fin. And that's gonna be game. Yay! So yeah, Dragalge Poison taking out VMAXs. You saw it here, man. This is my brainchild. It's not the best deck in the world, but I still like to play it anyway. I love this deck a lot. It's just so much fun. It's not the best deck in the world. It's really not, but I like to play it anyway. I do play the Garbodor variation. I neglected to mention at the beginning. You can play this deck with Galarian Slowbro, but I think it's weaker, honestly, because the problem with playing with Galarian Slowbro, you do get to play, you do have more flexibility in the deck because you don't have to play all these, you don't have to do a 2/2 line of Garbodor, that's 4 extra Pokemon in your deck. However, you have to play Dark City. You have to play Dark City with Galarian Slowbro because he has a 3 retreat cost. I think what makes this deck powerful in a lot of ways is Dust Island, and that it doesn't shut down, but it kind of counters the massive amount of switch you got. Bird Keeper, Malolana, Switch, Scoop Up. Like this card helps counter those cards at least a little bit. And you can't run. It's really difficult to run Dust Island and Dark City in the same deck. It's really difficult to do. So if Galarian Slowbro had a 2 retreat cost, you could stick an air balloon on it and call it a day, but it doesn't. So that's one thing. So that's the reason why we're playing this, so that we can play the Dust Island instead of the Dark City. But if you think Galarian Slowbro will work better, you can go ahead and give it a try. Take out the Garbodor, put in like two Galarian Slowbros, and then you can have those 2 extra cards to do whatever you want with. Reset Stamp, switches, energies, whatever you want. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Really appreciate you guys sticking out, watching, and yeah, give it a try. Poison Dragalge. Peace out.